Hey, it's Coach DeCarlo. I want to share with you something on my 30-day abundant journey. Somebody asked the question, and I think the question is so relevant, and I think I've heard the question in many different ways, and I want to address it because it's important as we understand the workings of faith and imagination and so forth, because a lot of times we imagine a thing, but we don't carry it out to its full effect. And I'm going to explain what I mean in just a moment. But let me read the question first and foremost. The question says, is apologizing in imagination as effective as apologizing in the physical? And that's a great question. Is apologizing, asking for forgiveness, is it as effective if only doing it in imagination? This is what I said. I said, let me ask you a question. Is having $1 million in imagination as effective as having $1 million in the physical? Whatever your answer is with $1 million will be your answer concerning apologies. So my answer was, okay, let's say that apologizing only in imagination, and you stop there. Okay, now you imagine $1 million. Now you're imagining this $1 million in your mind. But if it stays in your mind, what's the benefit of imagining that $1 million? James said this. You say that you have faith, but you have no works. He says, show me your faith without works, and I'll show you my faith by my works. He says, faith without works, imagination without effort is dead. Now, and I know many of us come from the mindset that says, lift not a finger. Lift not a finger is trying to force something to happen. When you see it in your imagination, that's the catalyst. That's the beginning of the manifestation. But when you look at the many stories that Neville tells, even if it was the person going to sleep in the wish fulfilled, they had to do that. But normally, always, I'm not going to say normally, always there was a lifestyle that followed. For example, the person that wanted to rent her house out had to get the house ready, or what we call renters ready, so that when the person came, they could receive it. Neville would tell some person, or he told one woman, listen, go home and begin sleeping in your bed as though the house was already sold. But there was a work to be done. She had to prep the house. She had to get ready. She had to advertise that the house was being sold. So there is work on our side. For the person that wants to be a millionaire, I'm not saying that you can't be a lottery winner, but you still have to pay for the lottery ticket. It may be your business that you turn into a multi-million-dollar business. So there's going to be something that you do on your behalf. Now, some things you can do and lift not a finger. Other things are going to require effort on your part. There's not a blanket answer for manifestation. Let me say that again. There's not one blanket answer for every manifestation. Many of you are trying a particular method to manifest and it's not working for you. Now you say, well, I guess I'm not supposed to have that thing. Not so. It's just simply saying you may have to try something else. We want to believe that all manifestation techniques are one size fit all, and it's just not so. You have to find the manifestation technique that works for you. So when we're talking about manifesting, you talk about faith and works. First, you have the ideal. Everything that you see on the without, whether it be this vase here, the lighting that's lighting up this room, the whiteboard that I'm using, the dry erasers, everything started in, we'll just call it I am. And so when I say I am, beyond the I am that, in imagination. So it says that whatever you think in your imagination will ultimately be out pictured in so-called reality. So imagination is outpictured, but in outpicturing imagination, it doesn't stay in your head. The out picturing means that there's something that happens on the without also. Neville, as well as Scripture and many other teachers, will tell you that lifestyle always follows belief or imagination. So, what am I saying? When you're looking at manifesting the thing, let's say something as simple as an apology. It's good to first and foremost start in your imagination, see how this thing is going to carry out, see how the person's going to respond to you apologizing. But a lot of people on the without are not in tune enough with imagination to know what it is that you're thinking. Some do. But even for those who do, they would like to hear the apology if you've done something wrong. So much so, Jesus said this. In imagination, if you realize that you have aught against your brother or your brother has aught against you, go to your neighbor, your brother, your sister, the other person that you've offended, and apologize, one-on-one. Go in secret and apologize to them. This is a thing that happened between the two of you. Go in secret and address that thing, and if they will not forgive you, then that's going to be on them. But you've done your job. But you just didn't keep it in imagination, say, well, I'm just going to pray for them that they understand that I apologize to them, whatever the case, depending upon which side of the coin that you're on. You take it from imagination to lifestyle. And so the person understands. You say, listen, what I did the other day was inappropriate. I didn't mean to offend you, and I apologize. Now, you've done your portion, and that debt is canceled. Now, what the other person did with it, that's on them. But what you've done is release yourself from that debt. Because, see, for you to believe that there was a need for you to apologize, you believe that there was an offense that took place. And it says, if there's an offense, address it. If you owe anyone, pay them. An offense means that there's an owing or a payment due. Now, some would say, well, the only one that you can offend is yourself. Okay, if that's the case, that's fine. But go apologize to your other self if that's what's required. Because what you're doing is trying to clear your energy. Yeah, you can say, well, listen, I'm just going to apologize in my heart, and that's going to be that. And that will settle the matter. But the problem's going to be the other person may not act to you accordingly because they've never got the benefit of you speaking out the forgiveness or paying back the debt. Whatever the shortcoming was, whatever the debt was owed, it says, forgive us our shortcomings, trespassing, as we forgive others who have trespassed against us. So we're to forgive 70 times 7. But you may be encountering somebody that may not be as enlightened as you. I can remember when I was working for a Fortune 10 company, I was interacting with a coworker and I said something that offended her. I had no idea that what I said was offensive. And for months, when this person saw me, there was obviously a chip on her shoulder. And I could have said, well, listen, I prayed for her, I'm going to let it go, and did nothing besides that. But there was a burden on me to make right my offense. And I went to the lady and said, listen, I meant nothing by what was said. There was no, harm or disrespect meant. That was just not my intentions, and I apologize. She received the apology, and we became friends after that. Now, we could have gone on in a workplace that, she would have been giving me the evil eye or whatever, just kind of give me that eye. And I could have went on about my business and said, well, that's on her. I've forgiven her and, I apologized in my heart. But there was something that needed to happen. If at faith level I say that it's done, then there shouldn't be the problem at the physical level to carry out what was already done at the faith level. And so for me, my part was to apologize because there was obviously an offense. And like I said, she received the apology. She didn't have to, but at that point, I would have released it and said, listen, I've done my part. Now it's on her, whatever she chooses to do with that. But I did want to do my part in this transaction. So for each and every person, you have to decide your part. And it may be that you just apologize in your imagination. But if you still see that that person has aught against you because you have not done it on the physical level, what you've done at the spiritual level, then hopefully you'll be the person that says, you know what, I want to make it right on all levels. So again, everything has this conception and imagination. But it should be followed through or lifestyle in what we call the physical realm. And if you continuously do that on a consistent basis and you're mindful of what it is that you're creating, you're going to create whatever life you desire. But remember this, only you can create your perfect world. Not God, not man. Only you can create your perfect world. This is Coach DeCarlo saying have a great and abundant day.